Fidoa father discovers a hidden passageway under the tree trunk and the secret shocks. Graham Harrison took a deep breath, looking at his 3 children running among the trees of the rural property he had inherited from his wife, Carolyn. 2 years had passed since she left, and he still struggled to create happy memories for Caleb, Maya, and Leo, away from the sadness that had taken over their lives in the city. It was during an innocent game around a fallen tree trunk that everything changed. Leo, the 6-year-old youngest, tripped while chasing his siblings, and his fall revealed something that made Graham stand still for a few seconds. "Dad, there's a hole under here," the boy shouted, pointing to an opening that had been exposed when some stones moved. Graham approached slowly, observing it wasn't just an ordinary hole. It looked like an entrance carefully camouflaged under the intertwined roots of the old trunk. "Kids, step back a little," he asked, crouching down to examine the discovery more closely. Caleb, 9, and Maya, 8, joined their younger brother, all curious about what their father was doing. The entrance was narrow, but it seemed possible to go down. "What is it, Dad?" asked Maya, holding her brother's hands. "I don't know yet, sweetie, but I'll find out." Graham tested the stability of the opening before making a decision. Carefully, he descended through the narrow passage, using his phone's flashlight to light the way. What he found left him speechless. It was a small underground shelter, clearly built with purpose. On the stone walls, makeshift shelves held boxes and objects he had never seen before. But what intrigued him most was recognizing some personal items that had belonged to Caroline. "Dad, are you okay down there?" Caleb's voice echoed through the passage. "Yes, son. Stay up there. I won't be long." Graham picked up one of the boxes with trembling hands. Inside were handwritten letters, all signed by Caroline, but addressed to someone only called M. The content of the first letters he read left him confused and worried. His wife's words revealed secrets about her life before marriage, intimate confidences about feelings and situations she had never shared with him. Even more disturbing was realizing that the dates on the letters showed she had maintained this correspondence even after they were married. "M, I know you don't approve of my choice, but I need you to understand that I love him. Even so, I can't stop feeling guilty for choosing him instead of supporting you when you needed it most." Graham read that sentence several times, trying to understand the context. Who was M? Why did Caroline feel guilty? And most importantly, why had she never mentioned anything about this? "Dad," Maya called again, this time with a more worried tone. "I'm coming up, dear." He put some letters in his pocket and climbed back up to his children. The 3 watched him expectantly, but Graham still didn't know how to explain what he had found. "It was just an old hole, kids. Nothing special," he lied, forcing a smile. Leo pouted, clearly disappointed. "I thought it was a pirate treasure." "Sometimes the most important treasures aren't gold, son," said Graham, picking up the youngest in his arms. For the rest of the afternoon, he tried to maintain normalcy, playing with the children and preparing dinner at the makeshift campsite. But his mind couldn't shake the words he had read. Who was M, and why did Caroline hide this correspondence? When the children finally fell asleep in the tent, Graham returned to the hiding place alone. This time, he examined everything more carefully. There were other boxes, some with photos he had never seen, others with Caroline's personal items he thought had been lost after her passing. One of the most recent letters was dated just 3 months before Caroline passed away. In it she wrote, "M, I finally found the courage. I'm going to talk to Graham about our family situation. I know he might not understand at first, but I need to try to bring you 2 together. My children deserve to know the whole truth about our family." Graham felt his heart race. Caroline had planned to reveal something important to him, but apparently didn't have time. The mention of the children left him even more intrigued. What truth about the family did they deserve to know? He spent the night reading more letters, piecing together an emotional puzzle about the secret life his wife had kept. It became clear that M was someone very close to her, someone who had drifted apart because of her relationship with Graham. The next morning, the children woke up excited, wanting to explore more of the property. Graham masked his tiredness and worry, but he knew he needed answers. He decided that as soon as they returned to the city, he would look for Mrs. Martha, Caroline's mother, to talk about the letters. "Dad, did you sleep badly?" asked Maya, always attentive to details. "Just thought too much, sweetie. Sometimes adults do that." Caleb, being the oldest, sensed something was bothering his father. "It's about Mum, isn't it?" The direct question caught Graham off guard. He looked at his 3 children, all waiting for an honest answer. "A little, yes. You know I love you very much and that Mum loved you too, right?" The 3 confirmed with nods of their heads. "Sometimes we discover things about the people we love that make us curious. It's nothing bad, it's just different from what we expected." "Like when I found out Maya collects little rocks under the bed?" asked Leo innocently. Maya turned red. "Leo, that was a secret." Graham smiled for the first time since the discovery. "Exactly like that, Leo. Sometimes people keep special things in secret places." "Did Mum keep something special in the hole?" asked Caleb, always perceptive. Graham hesitated before answering. "She kept some memories, yes. When we get back home, maybe I can better understand what they mean." The rest of the weekend passed slowly. Graham did his best to enjoy the time with his children, but his mind was constantly drawn back to the letters and their mysteries. The children played near the tree trunk several times, unaware of the discovery that had changed everything for their father. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, on Monday, as soon as the children left for school, Graham drove to Mrs. Martha's house. His mother-in-law received him with her usual affection, but he noticed an unusual nervousness when he mentioned he had found some of Caroline's belongings at the rural property. "What kind of belongings, Graham?" she asked, wringing her hands anxiously. "Letters, mostly. Letters she wrote to someone named M." Mrs. Martha's face visibly paled. She got up from her chair and went to the window, turning her back to her son-in-law. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but her voice trembled. "Mrs. Martha, please, Caroline wrote to this person even after she was married to us. I need to understand who M is and why she kept it a secret." The older woman remained silent for several long minutes. Graham could tell from her posture that she knew exactly what he was talking about. "Some things are better left in the past, Graham," she finally said, still not turning around. But Caroline didn't want to leave it in the past. "One of the last letters talks about telling the truth to me and the children." Upon hearing this, Mrs. Martha turned around quickly with tears in her eyes. "She said that?" "She did." "Who is M, Mrs. Martha? Please, I need to know." The mother-in-law sat back down, this time looking as if she had aged 10 years in a few minutes. "M is Silas, my eldest son." Graham was paralyzed. "Your son? Caroline had a brother?" "Has. Silas is still alive, but—" She stopped, wiping her tears. "We grew apart many years ago. Why did you never tell me about him? Why don't the children know they have an uncle?" Mrs. Martha took a deep breath before continuing. "Because Silas didn't approve of your marriage. He thought Caroline was making a wrong choice." "Wrong choice?" Graham felt a stab of irritation. "Why?" "It was nothing personal against you, Graham. Silas was always very protective of his sister. When you started dating, he thought you were too controlling." The word hit Graham like a punch. Controlling. He noticed you didn't like it when Caroline went out with her friends, that you were bothered when she talked about her family. He thought you were isolating her from us. Graham remembered some situations from the past and felt a tightness in his chest. There were times when he really was bothered, when Caroline gave too much attention to people other than him, and later, the children. "And what happened?" "There was a terrible argument before your wedding. Silas said harsh things about the relationship, and Caroline defended you. In the end, she had to choose between her family and you." "She chose me." "Yes, but she never forgave herself for it. Silas left home that same week and never came back. Caroline was devastated." Graham began to understand the magnitude of the sacrifice Caroline had made for him, and he also began to understand why she felt guilty in the letters. "Where is Silas now?" "The last I knew, he still lived in the area. He works as a carpenter, but Graham, please don't go after him. We've caused enough pain for everyone. The children deserve to know their uncle. The children are fine as they are. There's no need to stir up the past. Graham left Mrs. Martha's house with more questions than answers. He drove aimlessly through the town, processing everything he had discovered. Caroline had sacrificed her relationship with her brother because of him, and he hadn't even known it. For the rest of the week, Graham was distant and thoughtful. The children noticed the change in their father's behavior and grew worried. "Dad, are you sad about Mom again?" asked Maya during Thursday's dinner. "Not exactly, sweetheart. I'm thinking about some things about our family's story." "What kind of things?" Caleb always wanted details. "Well," Graham hesitated, but decided to be honest within age-appropriate limits. "So you know how everyone has a story, right? Sometimes we discover parts of the story of people we love that we didn't know before." "Like in the movies?" asked Leo, excited. "A little bit like that, yes. Mom had some parts of her story that I didn't know very well." Maya, always sensitive, noticed the melancholy in her father's tone. "Is it a sad story?" "It's a complicated story, but maybe we can make it less sad." "How?" the three asked almost at the same time. Graham smiled, seeing the determination on his children's faces. They were willing to help, even without fully understanding the situation. "First, I need to find out more details. Then maybe we can take a trip." "A trip where?" Caleb perked up. "To the place where Mom grew up. There are people there you haven't met yet." Leo clapped his hands. "What kind of people?" Graham took a deep breath. It was time to start revealing the truth to his children. "You know how everyone has family, right? Grandparents, uncles, cousins, like Grandma Martha," said Maya. "Exactly. Well, Mom had more family besides Grandma Martha. She had an older brother." The three of them fell quiet for a moment, processing the information. "Mom had a brother?" asked Caleb, incredulous. "Has. He's still alive. His name is Silas, and he's your uncle." "Why have we never met him?" Maya seemed confused. "It's complicated to explain, but sometimes families fight and drift apart. That's what happened between Mom and Uncle Silas." "Did they fight because of us?" Caleb, being the oldest, made the connection quickly. Graham was surprised by his son's perceptiveness. "Not exactly because of you. It was because of me, actually." Leo, who didn't fully understand the complexities of the situation, asked the simplest question. "Can we meet Uncle Silas?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out, champ." That night, after putting the children to bed, Graham made a decision. It didn't matter if Mrs. Martha approved or not. He would look for Silas. The children had a right to know their uncle, and he had an obligation to try to fix the mistake he had made without knowing. On Friday, Graham asked his sister to watch the children over the weekend and drove to Asheville, the town where Caroline had been born and raised. He hadn't visited the place since the funeral 2 years prior. The small town in the interior of North Carolina seemed even smaller than he remembered. Graham began his search by discreetly asking about local carpenters. At the third establishment he visited, a hardware store, the owner recognized him immediately. "Aren't you Caroline Harrison's husband?" asked the man, a gentleman of about 60. "Yes, I am." "My condolences. It was a great loss for the whole community. Caroline was always a special girl." "Thank you. Actually, I'm looking for Silas, her brother. I heard he works as a carpenter around here." The man hesitated a moment before answering. "Silas Harrison? Yes, I know him. Good professional. A bit reserved, but a good man." "Do you know where I can find him?" "He has a workshop on the street behind the main church. Blue house with a green gate." "But may I ask why you're looking for him now?" Graham sensed curiosity in the question, but also a certain protectiveness. Apparently Silas was respected in the community. "It's about my children. They deserve to know their uncle." The man nodded approvingly. "That's true. Family is family, right?" Graham thanked him and headed to the indicated address. When he reached the blue house with the green gate, he could hear the sound of wood being worked coming from the back. He took a deep breath before ringing the bell. A man in his 40s opened the gate. He was clearly Caroline's brother, the same brown eyes, the same face shape, but when he recognized Graham, his face hardened immediately. "What do you want here?" asked Silas without ceremony. "I need to talk to you about Caroline. Caroline left 2 years ago. There's nothing more for us to talk about." "Yes, there is. It's about your niece and nephews. Silas hesitated for a few seconds upon hearing the mention of the children. What about them? They deserve to know their uncle, and you deserve to know them. You didn't tell me I had a niece and nephews when they were born. Why now? Graham lowered his head, feeling the weight of the truth. Because I didn't know you existed. Caroline never told me about you. Of course she didn't. You made it very clear you didn't want her family around. That's not true, isn't it? Silas crossed his arms. How many times did you complain when she wanted to come visit our mother? How many times did you make up commitments so she wouldn't attend family gatherings? Graham remembered some situations and felt ashamed. There had indeed been moments when he discouraged Caroline from spending too much time with her family. I didn't realize I was doing that. Didn't realize or didn't want to realize. Maybe a little of both, Graham admitted honestly. But now I know, and I want to try to fix it. Silas studied his brother-in-law for a few seconds before relaxing his posture. Come in, but I'm not promising anything. The carpentry workshop was organized and clean. There were beautiful pieces of furniture in various stages of production. Graham was impressed with the quality of the work. Caroline always said you had the hands of an artist, he commented. Caroline talked about me with you. Silas seemed surprised. Sometimes, yes, especially at the beginning of our relationship. After that, Graham stopped, realizing it was he himself who had discouraged those topics. After that, you made it clear you didn't want to hear about her family. That's true. And I'm sorry. Silas poured 2 glasses of water and sat in a wooden chair he had clearly made with his own hands. Why did you really come here, Graham? I found some letters Caroline was writing to you. Letters where she said she wanted to reconcile us. Silas's face completely transformed. She still wrote to me. She did. Even after we were married, even after the children were born. She never gave up trying to bring the family together. Silas was silent for a long time, clearly moved. I wrote to her too, he finally admitted. I sent the letters to our mother's address, and she would deliver them secretly. I never stopped missing my sister. Why didn't you meet in person? Because I thought you wouldn't allow it, and Caroline was afraid of causing problems in your marriage. Graham felt an enormous weight in his heart. His wife had lived for years torn between her love for him and her longing for her brother, and he hadn't even noticed. What were her letters like? Asked Silas. She talked a lot about you, about the kids, about how she wanted you to meet them. In the last letters, she was determined to tell me everything and arrange a meeting. But she didn't have time. She didn't have time. The 2 men fell silent, each lost in their own thoughts and memories of Caroline. How are my nephews and niece? Asked Silas after a while. Graham smiled for the first time since he had arrived. They're amazing. Caleb, the oldest, is serious and responsible like his mother. Maya is sensitive and artistic. Leo, the youngest, is all heart and energy. Do they know about me? They do now. I told them this week. They were excited about the possibility of meeting their uncle. Excited? Very. Leo asked if he could meet you. Maya wanted to know if you looked like Mom. Caleb asked why you 2 fought. Silas smiled for the first time in the conversation. And what did you tell Caleb? The truth, that you grew apart because of decisions I made without realizing how they hurt the family. You really have changed, haven't you? Graham reflected on the question. I think losing Caroline made me see many things I ignored before. One of them is that I isolated her from her family without even realizing it. Caroline was always about family. Since she was little, she dreamed of having a house full of people, with cousins, uncles, grandparents, all together. And I denied her that. You did. But she loved you too much to leave you because of it. Can you give me a second chance? The children deserve to have a complete family. Silas was thoughtful for a few minutes. It's not about a second chance, Graham. It's about my nephews and niece. They're not to blame for our adult quarrels. So you'll agree to meet them? I will, but with some conditions. Name them. First, this doesn't erase the past. It will still take time for me to trust you completely. Graham agreed with a nod. Second, the meetings have to be regular. I don't want to meet my nephews and niece once and then not see them again for months. Agreed. And third, our mother has to be part of this too. She suffered as much as I did with the family's distance. Graham hesitated a bit. Mrs. Martha wasn't very keen on the idea of digging up the past. Our mother is stubborn, but she has been suffering for 2 years without her grandchildren. Deep down, she really wants to be part of the children's lives. Then let's all try. Silas extended his hand to Graham. Let's try. For my nephews, and for Caroline's memory. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The two men talked until late afternoon. Silas showed childhood photos with Caroline, told stories that made Graham laugh and get emotional at the same time. He discovered details about his wife's personality he had never known. Caroline was always passionate about helping underprivileged children, Silas recounted, showing a photo of his teenage sister playing with a group of boys in a square. She never told me that. She organized recreational activities on weekends, taught crafts, helped with homework. She dreamed of opening a space just for that. Graham remembered a few times Caroline had vaguely mentioned volunteer work, but he always changed the subject, worried she would overextend herself. Why did she stop? After you got married, she said you thought she should focus more on your family. Another stab to Graham's heart. He had, without realizing it, kept Caroline from fulfilling her dreams. Silas, I need to tell you something. Go ahead. When I found the letters, I also found other items in the hiding place. A diary where Caroline was planning to resume her work with children. She wanted to open a space on the rural property I inherited from her. Silas was visibly moved. She never gave up on the dream. No. And I'm thinking that maybe we can make that dream come true for her, for our children, and for other kids in need. Really? Really? You could help with the carpentry, build safe toys, wooden structures. I have the property and some resources. Your mother could help with the educational activities. Our mother would be thrilled. She always loved teaching. And the children could see how their mother was loved and admired by others. They could be even prouder of her. Silas extended his hand again. Let's do this. Let's honor Caroline's memory the way she deserves. Let's. Graham returned home Sunday night with a heart lighter than he had felt in 2 years. The children greeted him excitedly, eager to know how the meeting with their uncle had gone. Is he cool, Dad? Asked Leo, bouncing on the couch. He's very cool, and he's eager to meet you all. When are we going to meet him? Maya wanted details. Next weekend. We're all going to Asheville and spending 2 days there. Caleb, always practical, asked the obvious question. What about Grandma Martha? Is she coming too? Graham had thought about this on the drive back. I'll talk to her tomorrow. Hope she agrees to join us too. On Monday, Graham went again to Mrs. Martha's house. This time she received him with a look of resignation, as if she knew what was coming. You went after Silas, didn't you? I did, and he wants to meet his nephews and niece. Graham, I already told you that. Mrs. Martha, with all due respect, the children have a right to know their whole family, and Silas has a right to know his nephews and niece. The older woman sighed deeply. How is he? Well, sad about losing his sister, but well, he's become a very talented carpenter. He was always good with his hands, she commented with a small, nostalgic smile. Mrs. Martha, he has also been suffering for 2 years. He lost his sister without having reconciled with her. He's carrying guilt and longing just like all of us. And what did he say about me? That he misses his mother too, and that he wants you to be part of your grandchildren's lives. Mrs. Martha began to cry silently. I miss him so much, Graham. Not a day goes by that I don't think about my son. Then come with us this weekend. We'll all go together. He won't want to see me. I supported his distancing back then. He does want to. We talked about it. We all made mistakes, Mrs. Martha. But you don't have to keep making them forever. Her mother-in-law was silent for a few minutes, clearly wrestling with herself. Do the children really want to meet their uncle? They're counting the days. And are you sure you're doing this for the right reasons? Isn't it just guilt? Graham thought honestly before answering. It's a little guilt, yes. But mostly it's love for the children and for Caroline's memory. She wanted this, Mrs. Martha. It was her last wish. All right, she finally said. I'll go with you. The rest of the week passed slowly for the whole family. The children kept asking questions about their uncle, about what the visit would be like, about whether he would like them. Graham did his best to reassure them, but he himself was anxious. On Friday afternoon, they set off for Asheville in 2 cars. Graham with the children in one, Mrs. Martha in another. During the trip, Graham explained to his children that Grandma and Uncle Silas hadn't seen each other for many years. "Why, Dad?" asked Maya. "Sometimes families go through difficult times, sweetheart. The important thing is that now everyone wants to meet." "What if they fight again?" asked Caleb, always worried about the details. "They won't fight. We've all learned from past mistakes." When they arrived at Silas's house, Graham noticed his brother-in-law had prepared especially for the children. There were new wooden toys on the porch, and the house was decorated with flowers from the garden. Silas opened the gate before they even knocked. When he saw Mrs. Martha getting out of the car, his eyes filled with tears. "Mom," he said simply. "My son," she replied, walking quickly toward him. The hug between mother and son was long and emotional. The children watched in awe, having never seen adults hug with so much emotion. "Children," Graham called softly, "come meet your Uncle Silas." Caleb was the first to approach, extending his hand formally. "Pleased to meet you, Uncle Silas. I'm Caleb." Silas smiled and shook his nephew's hand. "Pleased to meet you, Caleb. Wow, you look just like your mother when she was little." Maya was next, more shy. "I'm Maya." "Hi, Maya. You have the family's eyes, just like Mom's, just like mine." Leo, always the most uninhibited, ran straight to his uncle and hugged his legs. "I'm Leo. Dad said you make toys." Silas laughed and picked up his nephew. "I sure do. Want to see?" The afternoon passed quickly. Silas showed the children his workshop, taught Caleb how to use some simple tools, helped Maya make a small decorated picture frame, and made Leo laugh by building a little wooden car on the spot. Mrs. Martha, who had initially been reserved, soon found herself drawn in by the stories her son told about his work and his life. She realized Silas had become a mature and balanced man. During dinner, which they all ate together at the kitchen table, the children bombarded their uncle with questions. "Uncle Silas, why didn't you come to my birthday last year?" Leo asked innocently. Graham and Silas exchanged glances. "Well, Leo, it's just that your uncle didn't know when your birthday was," explained Silas. "But you know now, right?" "Now I know, and I promise I won't miss any more." Maya, always observant, asked a question that took everyone by surprise. "Uncle Silas, do you have a picture of Mom when she was really little?" "Yes, I do. Want to see?" Silas brought some old albums, and the kids were fascinated seeing Caroline as a child, a teenager, a young adult. There were photos of her even Graham didn't know. "Wow, Mom was really pretty," commented Caleb. "And she was always smiling," observed Maya. "Your mother had the most beautiful smile in the world," said Silas, "and you inherited that smile from her." Leo pointed to a photo where Caroline, still a teenager, was surrounded by several small children. "Who are these boys, Uncle?" "They were children your mother used to help here in town. She taught them games, did crafts with them." "Was Mom a teacher?" asked Maya. "Not officially, but she loved to teach. She dreamed of having a place just for that." Graham decided it was time to tell the children the rest of the story. "Actually, kids, I have a surprise for you." The three turned to their father, curious. "Remember the property where we went camping, where we discovered the secret passage?" they confirmed excitedly. "Well, your mother dreamed of turning part of that place into a space for other children to play and learn cool things." "Really?" Caleb perked up. "Really? And I was thinking that maybe we can make her dream come true, with Uncle Silas and Grandma Martha's help." "I can help build wooden toys and safe structures," explained Silas. "And I can organize educational activities," added Mrs. Martha. Leo clapped his hands. "Will it be like a park?" "Better than a park," said Graham. "It will be a place where children can come to play, learn, and have fun, just like your mother always wanted." Maya asked a question that moved all the adults. "And will we tell the other kids how cool Mom was?" "Yes, we will, sweetheart. All the children who visit the place will know how special your mother was." Caleb, always practical, asked the next question. "When do we start?" "How about we start planning tomorrow?" suggested Silas. "I can show you the land and you can help me think of the best spots for everything." The children's excitement was contagious. Mrs. Martha, who had arrived reserved and worried, now smiled seeing her grandchildren enthusiastically planning how to honor their mother's memory. That night, the children slept at their uncle's house for the first time. Silas had prepared mattresses in the living room, and they thought it was an adventure to all sleep together on the floor. Graham and Mrs. Martha stayed talking on the porch with Silas until late at night, planning project details and catching up on the lost years. "You know, Graham," said Silas at one point, "I spent a long time being angry with you. But seeing you today, seeing how you're raising my niece and nephews, I realize you truly loved my sister. I still love her, and I'm sorry I was so closed off in the past. We all made choices that weren't perfect," commented Mrs. Martha. "What's important is that we're together again now." "Caroline would be so happy to see this," said Silas, looking through the window where the children slept peacefully. On Saturday morning they all went together to the rural property. The children ran straight to the log where it all began, eager to show the discovery to their uncle and grandma. "It was here that Leo tripped and found the entrance," explained Maya. Silas went down into the secret passage with Graham and was impressed with the organization of the hideout. "Caroline was always detail-oriented," he commented, examining the makeshift shelves. "She kept so many things here. Letters, photos, personal items. She was preparing to tell you everything. This place was like an archive of our family." When they came back up, Mrs. Martha had spread some of the photos they had brought on a towel on the ground. The children were helping to organize them chronologically. "Look, Dad." Leo showed a photo of Caroline at 15. Mum was already as pretty as Maya. Maya blushed but smiled at the compliment. "And look at this one." Caleb held a photo where Caroline appeared helping children in a makeshift classroom. Mum really loved teaching. Silas crouched down beside his nephews. "Your mother always said children were the future of the world. That's why she wanted to help as many children as she could. And now we're going to help too," declared Leo with determination. They spent the rest of the day exploring the property and planning where each area of the future recreational space would be. Silas, with his construction experience, suggested ideal spots for different structures. This would be perfect for a wooden playground. He pointed to a flat area shaded by large trees. "And over there we could make an educational garden," suggested Mrs. Martha, indicating a spot with good sun exposure. "I can help plant," offered Maya. "And I can help water," added Leo. Caleb, always thinking of the details, asked, "And where will the kids keep their things?" "Good question, Caleb," praised his uncle. "We can build little houses like changing rooms, where each child has their own little space." The idea excited everyone. It was becoming clear that the project would be much bigger and more elaborate than Graham had initially imagined. During lunch, which they had at an improvised table under a tree, Silas made a proposal that surprised Graham. "Graham, I was thinking, what if I moved closer to you all?" "How so?" "Here in Asheville there isn't as much work as I'd like, and I want to be part of my nephews' lives. If I moved to your city, I could visit them more often and help more closely with the project." The children were thrilled with the suggestion. "Really, Uncle? You're going to live near us?" asked Maya. "If you want me to, yes. We do," the three replied in unison. Graham was genuinely moved by the proposal. "Silas, are you sure? It's a big move." "I'm sure. I missed 2 years of my nephews' lives. I don't want to miss any more." Mrs. Martha, who had been quiet during the conversation, finally spoke. "And me. Can I move too?" "Of course, Mom." Silas smiled. "It would be perfect to have you nearby too." "Grandma Martha, you're going to live near us too?" Leo was beaming. "If you want this doting grandma nearby, yes." The children got up from the table and ran to hug the new family members. Graham watched the scene and felt a peace he hadn't felt in a long time. That afternoon they began making more concrete plans. Graham committed to helping Silas find work and housing in the city. Mrs. Martha started researching educational activities suitable for different ages. The children drew pictures of how they imagined the recreational space would look. On Sunday, before heading back home, they held a symbolic ceremony at the tree trunk where it had all begun. Each spoke a word about Caroline and their hopes for the future. Caleb said, "Mum, thank you for letting us find your family. We'll take good care of your dream." Maya added, "Mum, now we have more people to love and be loved by, just like you always wanted." Leo, with the simplicity of children, declared, "Mum, we won't be sad anymore because now we have Uncle Silas and Grandma Martha always with us." Silas spoke next. "Caroline, my dear sister, forgive me for being away for so long. I promise I'll take care of your children as if they were my own." Mrs. Martha, her voice choked, said, "My daughter, your dream of having a united family has come true, and your dream of helping children will come true too." Graham was the last to speak. "Caroline, love of my life, thank you for being so patient with me. Thank you for never giving up on our family. I promise I will be the man you always saw in me." When they returned to the city, the children were tired but happy. During the trip, they were planning what it would be like to have their uncle and grandma living nearby. "Dad, now we'll have birthday parties with more people," Maya observed. "And Uncle Silas can teach me how to make wooden toys," Caleb dreamed. "And Grandma Martha can make more little sweets for us," Leo added. Graham smiled, seeing his children's joy. For the first time since Caroline had passed, he felt the family was complete again. The following week, Graham dedicated himself to helping Silas with the move. He found a house to rent just 3 blocks from his own, and through contacts he got job referrals for his brother-in-law. Mrs. Martha decided to sell the house in Asheville and buy a small apartment in Graham's city. She was excited about the prospect of actively participating in her grandchildren's upbringing. The children were counting the days until the new family members moved. Caleb had made a calendar where he marked an X for each passing day. During this period, Graham also began to put the recreational space project into practice. He hired an engineer to assess the safety of the structure on the property and started researching the necessary permits for children's activities. An important discovery was made when he was organizing the secret hiding spot better. At the bottom of one of the boxes, he found a detailed notebook where Caroline had planned every aspect of her dream project. The notebook contained drawings, lists of materials, suggested activities, and even an approximate budget. It was clear Caroline had thought of everything down to the smallest details. Even more moving was discovering that she had chosen a name for the project, Joyful Corner, the Caroline Harrison Space for Children. When Graham showed the notebook to Silas and Mrs. Martha, everyone was moved by the level of detail in Caroline's plans. "She really wanted so much to make this happen," Silas commented, carefully flipping through the pages. "Look, she even thought of specific activities for different age groups," Mrs. Martha observed. "Crafts for the little ones, gardening for the middle ones, basic carpentry for the older ones. And she planned everything to be educational but fun at the same time," Graham added. When the children saw the notebook, they were impressed by their mother's dedication to the project. "Mommy drew everything so nicely," Maya exclaimed, admiring the colorful sketches. "Look, she even thought of making a small library," Caleb pointed out. "And a place to have picnics," Leo discovered excitedly. From that moment on, they decided to follow exactly the plan Caroline had left, making only small adjustments necessary to fit the current reality. 2 weeks later, Silas and Mrs. Martha were officially moved to the city. The welcome party was at Graham's house, with the children helping to decorate and prepare treats. The first breakfast with the whole family together was special. The children woke up early and ran to their uncle's house to call him and their grandma to have breakfast together. "Wow, it's so wonderful to wake up and know you're so close by," Maya said, hugging Grandma Martha. "It's wonderful for me too, my dear granddaughter." Leo, always direct, made his request. "Uncle Silas, can you teach me how to make a little car today?" "Yes, I can, champ. How about we do that after school?" Caleb, who was already planning the future, asked, "When are we going to start building Joyful Corner?" Graham and Silas exchanged looks. They had discussed this and come to a conclusion. "Actually, Caleb, Everything is already approved. We can start next weekend." The children shouted with joy. They would finally see their mother's dream coming true. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The first day of construction was like a party. Besides the family, some neighbors offered to help when they heard about the project. Graham had spread the word in the community, and the response was very positive. "It's beautiful to see a family honoring the memory of a loved one in this way," commented Mrs. Gladys, an elderly neighbor who came to help organize materials. "Caroline would be proud," agreed Mr. Joe, who offered to help with the electrical work. The children were at the center of everything, helping where they could, and supervising every detail to make sure it was turning out just like their mother's drawings. Silas discovered that working with wood surrounded by his nieces and nephews was even more rewarding than doing it alone. Caleb showed a natural aptitude for carpentry. Maya had creative ideas for the decoration, and Leo lifted everyone's spirits with his contagious enthusiasm. "Uncle, can I paint this part?" asked Maya, pointing to one of the future toy houses. "Of course, sweetheart. What color do you think would look nice?" "Yellow, like Mom's dress in the photo you showed." The suggestion moved Silas. "Perfect choice, Maya. Yellow like Mom's favorite dress." During the following weeks, the project took shape quickly. The community embraced the initiative, and several families offered to help not only with the construction, but also with future activities. Mrs. Higgins, a retired teacher, offered to help with reading activities. Mr. Miller, an experienced gardener, wanted to participate in creating the educational garden. Mrs. Pearl, who knew crafts, proposed workshops for handmade projects. "It's becoming a project for the whole community," observed Graham, seeing the number of people involved. "That's how it should be," said Mrs. Martha. Caroline always believed that raising a child was the responsibility of the entire community. Caleb made an observation that touched everyone's heart. "Mum is bringing everyone together, even though she's not here anymore." The phrase became something of a motto for the project. Caroline was truly uniting people through her dream. 6 weeks after construction began, Joyful Corner was almost ready. There was a beautifully built wooden playground, 3 colorful little houses for different activities, a garden in raised beds, a picnic area with wooden tables, and a small but well-equipped library. The opening was scheduled for a Saturday, and the family decided to hold an open event for the whole community to see the space. On the Friday before the opening, Graham woke up early and went alone to Joyful Corner. He wanted a few minutes of silence at the site before the celebration. Walking through the space Caroline had dreamed of, he felt an almost physical presence of his wife. It was as if she were there, smiling and approving every detail. "We did it, love," he said aloud, speaking to Caroline. "Your dream has come true." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the trees, and Graham smiled, feeling that was her reply. On Saturday morning, the official opening of Joyful Corner, the Caroline Harrison Space for Children, brought together more than 50 people. Families with children, neighbors, friends, everyone wanted to see the project. Graham gave a simple but emotional speech. "This space is the fulfillment of my wife Caroline's dream. She believed that every child deserves a safe place to play, learn, and be happy. Today that dream becomes reality, thanks to the effort of our entire community." Silas added, "My sister always said the best investment we can make is in our children's future. This place is that investment becoming concrete." Mrs. Martha, who was visibly moved, spoke last. "Caroline would be the happiest person in the world seeing children playing here. This place will keep alive the joy she always radiated." After the speeches, the children were let loose to explore the space. The joy was contagious. Caleb, Maya, and Leo blended in with the other children, proud to show every little corner they had helped build. "Look, I helped paint this yellow playhouse," Maya showed a school friend, "and this wooden cart my uncle made special for me." Leo proudly pushed his favorite toy. "The vegetable garden was my grandma's idea. She's going to teach everyone how to plant," Caleb explained to a group of interested boys. During the celebration, Graham watched Silas playing with the children, and taught some older boys how to use simple tools safely. Mrs. Martha was in the middle of a group of mothers, explaining the educational activities that would be offered. One of the mothers approached Graham. "What a beautiful project. My daughter is already asking when she can come back." All children are welcome. That was always Caroline's dream. "Your wife must have been a very special person." "She was the most special person I've ever known. And the most amazing thing is, even though she's no longer here, she continues to do good through this place." At the end of the afternoon, when the visitors had left and the family was alone at Joyful Corner, Graham gathered everyone for a special moment. "I want you all to know that today is one of the most important days for our family, not only because we made your mom's dream come true, but because we proved that the love she planted in us keeps growing and spreading." "Daddy, is Mommy watching us here?" asked Leo, with the sincerity of children. Graham looked around, at the colorful space full of toys and plants, at the uncle and grandmother who were now part of their daily lives, at his 3 children who were smiling genuinely for the first time in a long while. "I'm sure she is, son. I'm sure she's very proud of all of us." Maya approached her father and held his hand. "Dad, now I understand why Mommy kept letters in the hiding spot." "Why, Princess?" "Because sometimes feelings are too big to fit just inside us. Mommy needed a special place to keep all the love she felt for the family." His 8-year-old daughter's observation touched Graham deeply. Maya had understood, with the innocent wisdom of children, something it had taken him months to grasp. "And now we have this special place to keep the love we feel for her," Caleb added. Silas crouched down to the children's level. "And you know what? Every child who plays here will take a little bit of that love home. That's how your mom's love will spread all over the world." "Like seeds?" asked Leo. "Exactly like seeds," confirmed Mrs. Martha. "Your mother's love will germinate in the heart of every child who comes through here." In that moment, Graham fully understood Caroline's wisdom. She hadn't kept those letters out of secrecy or guilt. She had kept them as seeds, waiting for the right time, so the whole family could grow and blossom together. During the following months, Joyful Corner became a beloved gathering spot in the community. Children came daily after school, families organized birthday parties there, and groups of mothers gathered while their children played. Graham established a routine of working part-time so he could dedicate more time to the project. Silas divided his time between carpentry work in the city and maintaining the space. Mrs. Martha became the official grandma to all the children who frequented the place. Caleb developed impressive carpentry skills and began teaching younger children how to make simple toys. Maya discovered a talent for gardening and became responsible for teaching others about the plants in the vegetable garden. Leo, with his contagious personality, was the official joy of the place, always willing to include shyer children in the games. One afternoon, 3 months after the opening, Graham was organizing some materials when he found the last letter Caroline had written to Silas. It was a letter he hadn't read before, hidden at the bottom of the last box from the hiding place. In it, Caroline wrote, "My dear brother M, today I had a beautiful dream. I dreamed that my children grew up surrounded by love, not just mine and Graham's, but the love of a whole big united family. In the dream you were there, teaching Caleb to work with wood. Our mother was there telling stories to Maya, and there was a place full of happy children, a place that represented everything we always believed about love and community. I woke up certain that this dream would become reality. I don't know how or when, but I have faith that our family will reunite and that together we will create something beautiful for the world. If you are reading this letter, it means I am no longer here physically. But please know that my love for you, for my children, for Graham, and for our mother will never end. This love will find a way to unite all of you and to create beautiful things. Take good care of my boys. Teach them that family isn't just blood, it's a choice. It's choosing every day to love, forgive, and build together. And if possible, turn that land I left for them into something special. A place where children can be children, where families can meet, where love can grow freely. With all my eternal love, your sister Caroline P.S. Look for the blue notebook in the hiding place. In it is everything I dreamed for that place. Graham read the letter several times with tears in his eyes. Caroline had foreseen everything. She had left clear instructions not only to realize her dream, but to reunite the family. He called Silas, Mrs. Martha, and the children to share the discovery. "Mom really knew everything," exclaimed Maya after Graham finished reading. "She knew we were going to be together again," said Caleb, impressed. Leo, with his childlike wisdom, made the most touching observation. "Mom planted us like a little seed of love, and now we've become a big tree." Silas was visibly moved. "My sister was always wise. She knew that true love always finds a way." "And she was right," said Mrs. Martha. "Look how this family has grown and strengthened." Graham looked around and saw exactly what Caroline had dreamed of: a united family, happy children playing, a space full of love and joy. All the pieces of the puzzle had fit together perfectly. That night, after the children fell asleep, Graham returned to the trunk where it had all begun. The hiding place was now empty. All of Caroline's treasures had fulfilled their purpose. He sat in the same spot where, months before, he had discovered his wife's first secrets. Now he understood they weren't secrets in the traditional sense of the word, but seeds of love waiting for the right moment to sprout. "Thank you, Caroline," he said to the stars. "Thank you for never giving up on us. Thank you for leaving a map to bring us back together. Thank you for continuing to care for our family, even though you're no longer here." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the trees, and Graham smiled. It was her reply, as always. 6 months after the opening, Joyful Corner had become so popular that Graham decided to expand the project. With the community's help, they built 2 more areas: a space for teenagers with workshops on different skills, and an area for seniors to gather and share experiences with the children. The idea for the intergenerational area came from Mrs. Martha. Children have so much to learn from their elders, and the elders feel useful and joyful with the children. The proposal was a success. Every afternoon you could see children listening to life stories from the community's seniors, teenagers learning traditional crafts, and entire families gathering for joint activities. Caleb, now 10 years old, became a sort of junior monitor, helping organize the activities. Maya, at 9, had developed her own therapeutic gardening project with the seniors. Leo, at 7, continued to be the joy of the place, but now also helped welcome younger children. The project caught the attention of other communities, and Graham began receiving visits from people interested in creating similar spaces in their towns. "You've created something truly special here," said a social coordinator from a neighboring town. "The impact on the community is visible. The children are more united, the families closer, the seniors more active." "The credit isn't ours," Graham replied humbly. "We simply followed the dream my wife mapped out for us." "But you had the courage to make that dream come true. That makes all the difference." During one of these visits, a local journalist wrote a story about the project. The article, titled "The Dream That United a Family and Transformed a Community," was reprinted in several towns across the state. The buzz brought even more visitors and volunteers. Graham realized that Caroline had planted a seed that was growing far beyond what anyone could have imagined. A special afternoon took place 9 months after the opening. It was the 2-year anniversary of Caroline's passing, a date that had previously been marked only by sadness in the family. This time, they decided to celebrate differently. Instead of a moment of mourning, they organized a party in honor of Caroline's life and legacy. Joyful Corner was decorated with photos of her at different moments in her life: a smiling child, a teenager helping other children, a young woman in love, a dedicated mother, a caring wife. "Today we won't cry for Mom," Graham announced to his children. "We'll celebrate all the joy she brought into the world, and that continues to be spread through this place." "And through us, too," added Caleb. "We learned from Mom to help other people." "And to love the whole family," Maya continued. "And to be happy even when you feel sad sometimes," finished Leo with his innocent wisdom. The party brought together over 100 people, children who frequented the space, families who had met there, seniors who found new joy in the place, volunteers who embraced the project. During the party, several people shared how Joyful Corner had impacted their lives. A mother told how her shy daughter had become more sociable, A senior shared how he felt useful again teaching his skills to the children. A teenager explained how learning carpentry there had inspired him to choose his profession. "Caroline planted a seed of love," said Silas during his speech. "And this seed has grown into a huge tree that is bearing fruit in dozens of lives." Mrs. Martha, now 72 but looking 10 years younger, gave a speech that moved everyone. "My daughter always said that true love doesn't end when a person leaves. She was right. Her love is more alive than ever, multiplied in every child's smile playing here, in every family that grew stronger, in every dream that came true." Graham was the last to speak. Looking at his children, at Silas, at Mrs. Martha, at the entire gathered community, he felt a sensation he hadn't experienced in a long time: wholeness. "Caroline always believed that small gestures of love could change the world," he began. "Today, seeing all of you here, seeing the children playing, seeing families coming together, I know she was right. This place is proof that true love knows no limits of time or space." "And you know what's most beautiful?" he continued, looking especially at his 3 children. "Caleb, Maya, and Leo are growing up knowing they can make a difference in people's lives. They are learning that the greatest gift we can give the world is our capacity to love and help. Joyful Corner is not just a physical space. It is the materialization of Caroline's heart. It is proof that one person can leave an eternal legacy through the love they plant in others." At the end of the speech, there was a moment of emotional silence, broken by the sound of children playing and laughing. It was the most fitting sound to honor Caroline. That night, after everyone had left, the family was alone at Joyful Corner for the first time in months. Graham, Silas, Mrs. Martha, Caleb, Maya, and Leo sat in a circle in the picnic area. "Dad, I have a question," said Maya. "Go ahead, Princess." "If Mum hadn't hidden those letters in the hiding place, would we have found Uncle Silas and Grandma Martha the same way?" The 9-year-old girl's question surprised the adults with its depth. "That's a tough question, Maya," replied Graham. "Maybe yes, maybe no, but the important thing is, she made sure to leave clues for us to find each other." Caleb, always rational, added, "Mum knew we were going to need more family. That's why she kept all of that." "Mum was really smart," Leo stated simply. Silas looked at his nephews with pride. "You 3 are exactly like your mother, generous, smart, and full of love to give." "And you are making her proud every single day," Mrs. Martha added. Graham looked at the family gathered under the stars and knew Caroline had achieved exactly what she wanted: a united family, growing together, spreading love through the world. "You know something?" he finally said. "I think finding those letters was the best gift Mum could have left for us." "Why, Dad?" asked Maya. "Because it taught us that true love always finds a way to bring the right people together at the right time." 1 year after the inauguration of Joyful Corner, Graham received a call that would change the course of the project once again. It was from a foundation that worked with community development. They had heard about the project through the news report and wanted to propose a partnership to replicate the initiative in other underserved communities. "You would create something truly revolutionary," explained the foundation coordinator during a meeting. "A model of a community center that strengthens family bonds, promotes informal education, and creates local support networks." Graham was flattered but cautious. "Our project is very personal. It was born from my wife's dream and built with love by our community. And that is exactly what we want to replicate, not the physical space, but the methodology. How to mobilize families, how to integrate different generations, how to create activities that truly make a difference." Silas, who was participating in the meeting, asked an important question. "And how would you ensure each new project maintained that human essence?" "Through a mentorship program. Would you train coordinators from other communities, sharing not just the techniques, but especially the philosophy behind the work?" The proposal was tempting, but Graham asked for time to discuss it with the family. That night during dinner, he presented the idea to everyone. "You mean Mommy's dream could spread to other cities?" asked Caleb, excited. "Exactly." "Mommy would be so happy," exclaimed Maya. Leo, always practical, asked, "But will we keep taking care of our Joyful Corner?" "Absolutely, champ. This place will always be special for our family." Mrs. Martha, who had been quiet during the conversation, finally spoke. Caroline always dreamed big. She would be radiant knowing her project could help children in many places. Silas was clearly excited about the possibility. We could create a manual with all the activities, include Caroline's original drawings, document the whole process. And the kids could help too, suggested Graham. Caleb can teach basic carpentry techniques. Maya can share the garden project. Leo can show how to include shyer children. The discussion went on into the night, with everyone contributing ideas. In the end, the decision was unanimous. They would accept the partnership, but on the condition that every new initiative respected the project's original values. "We have to make sure love is always the main ingredient," said Graham, "and that each community adapts the project to its reality, but keeps the spirit of family unity," added Silas. 2 months later, Graham and Silas were in the first city visited by the Foundation, helping a community plan its own joyful corner. The experience was moving. Seeing other families getting excited about the possibilities, other volunteers offering to help, other children dreaming of their own space to play and learn. "It's amazing how history repeats itself," commented Silas on the trip back. "The same excitement, the same unity, the same care." "It's because the desire to belong and to care for each other is universal," replied Graham. Caroline knew that. Over the next 6 months, they helped create 5 new community centers inspired by the original model. Each one adapted to the local reality, but all carrying the essence of Caroline's dream. Caleb, Maya, and Leo became minor celebrities at the Foundation's events. They told their story, taught activities, and especially showed how children could be protagonists in creating community spaces. In one of these presentations, Maya made a comment that was quoted in several newspapers. "The most important thing isn't having a beautiful place, it's having people who love each other building together." The phrase became the motto for several of the new projects. During this period of expansion, Graham realized his own life had completely transformed. From a closed-off and controlling man, he had become someone open to collaboration and collective building. "Sometimes I wonder if I'd recognize the person I was 3 years ago," he commented to Silas one afternoon while working at the original Joyful Corner. "Caroline would recognize you," replied his brother-in-law. "She always saw in you the man you became. You just needed time to blossom." "Do you think she planned all this? Finding the letters, our reconciliation, the project spreading?" Silas stopped what he was doing and looked at his brother-in-law seriously. "I think Caroline planted seeds of possibility. We chose how to make them grow." The answer made Graham reflect on free will, destiny, and the power of conscious choices. 18 months after creating the original Joyful Corner, Graham received a letter that moved him deeply. It was from an 8-year-old girl named Sophie, who attended one of the community centers created through the partnership. "Uncle Graham," she wrote, "my teacher told me it was you who taught them how to make our playground. I wanted to say that this is the coolest place in the world. I met my best friend playing in the garden. I learned how to make a little wooden airplane with Grandpa Leo, and my mom made friends with other moms. My teacher said a lady named Caroline dreamed of places like this. I wanted to thank her, but she already went to heaven, so I'm thanking you. Thank you for letting us have such a great place. Kisses from Sophie. P.S. My mum said I'm going to send you a picture of us playing here." The letter and the photo of dozens of children playing happily at the community center in their town made Graham cry with emotion. It was concrete proof that Caroline's dream was multiplying and touching lives they didn't even know. He shared the letter with the family during dinner. "Dad, Mommy must be very happy in heaven," said Maya after hearing the letter. "Why do you think that, Princess?" "Because she always said the best gift is to make other people smile, and now there are a bunch of children smiling because of her dream." Caleb, now 11 and increasingly mature, made a profound observation. "Mommy managed to become immortal, right, Dad?" "How so, son?" "She lives forever through all the places that were created because of her dream. Every child that plays, every family that comes together, is a little piece of Mommy that keeps on living." Graham was impressed by his eldest son's maturity. "You're right, Caleb. Your mother achieved immortality through love." Leo, now 8, made his characteristic contribution. "And we're going to become immortal too, because we're helping her dream grow." The youngest's observation made everyone laugh and get emotional at the same time. Even the children were understanding the concept of legacy and continuity through actions. That night, after the children fell asleep, Graham went to the old hiding spot under the tree trunk. There was nothing left there anymore, but the place had become his favorite spot for reflection. He thought about how his life had changed since that afternoon, when Leo tripped and revealed the secret entrance. From a grieving father and a fragmented family, they had become an expanded, united family with purpose. More importantly, they had discovered that true love has the power to transcend physical absence and keep growing through the people we choose to love and the actions we decide to take. "Caroline," he said to the stars, as had become his habit, "you didn't just bring our family together. You taught us how to spread love around the world. Your grandchildren will grow up knowing they can make a difference in other people's lives. And you know what?" he continued, smiling at the sky. "Our love didn't shrink because you left. In fact, it grew. It multiplied. It turned into something bigger than any of us alone could have created." A gentle breeze rustled the tree leaves, and Graham felt a deep peace. It was her answer, as always. It was her saying she was proud, that the plan had worked, that love had won. 2 years after discovering the hiding spot, Graham organized a special party, the 2nd anniversary of Joyful Corner. But this time the celebration would be different. They would invite representatives from all the communities that had created their own centers inspired by the original model. The idea was to create a big gathering, a network of people who shared the same values and goals. Caleb suggested it be like a giant family of people who care about each other. The party lasted an entire weekend. Families arrived from 7 different cities, all with similar stories of community transformation through the creation of gathering spaces. Graham was moved listening to accounts of how the model had adapted to different realities. Rural communities that created larger community gardens, urban communities that focused more on vocational workshops, coastal communities that included ocean-related activities. "Each place found its own face, but kept the heart," observed Silas. That's exactly what Caroline would have liked. During the event's workshops, children from all the communities played together, sharing games and creating new friendships. The adults exchanged experiences on community management, fundraising, and volunteer mobilization. But the most emotional moment was when Caleb, Maya, and Leo told the original story to all the gathered families, how an accidental stumble had revealed secret letters, how those letters had reunited a separated family, how a mother's dream had become reality through love and persistence. "Our mom always said that small things can have big consequences," Maya told the attentive audience. "My little brother's stumble changed the lives of hundreds of families," Caleb added. "And we learned that family isn't just who you're born with. Family is who chooses to stay together and build good things together." Leo finished with his innocent wisdom. "And we also learned that when a person we love goes away, the love doesn't go away with them. The love stays and helps us do cool things." The children's presentation received an emotional standing ovation. Many people were crying, touched by the simplicity and depth of their words. At the end of the event, all the families present signed a symbolic document, the Caroline Commitment, promising to continue spreading love through concrete actions in their communities. The document stated, "We, the families brought together by Caroline Harrison's dream, commit to keeping alive the belief that true love multiplies when it is shared. We promise to continue creating spaces where children can be children, families can grow stronger, and communities can grow united." When everyone had left, Graham stood observing the now silent but memory-filled Joyful Corner. Dozens of children had played there, hundreds of conversations had taken place, thousands of smiles had been shared. "It was an incredible weekend," commented Silas, helping to organize the materials used in the workshops. "It was much more than that," replied Graham. "It was proof that Caroline not only realized her own dream, she inspired other people to realize theirs too." Mrs. Martha, who had spent the weekend telling stories to children of all ages, was radiant. "I've never seen so many children together learning about family love and community responsibility." Caleb, who had spent 2 days teaching basic carpentry to boys and girls from various cities, was tired but happy. "Dad, it's so cool to see that we can teach useful things to other people." Maya, who had led gardening and plant care workshops, commented, "And it's also cool to learn new things from kids from other places." Leo, who had been the official activities cheerleader, summed up the general feeling. It was like having a giant family playing together. That night, Graham had a vivid dream of Caroline. In the dream, she was in the middle of all the children who had participated in the event, smiling and playing with them. When she saw him, she waved happily and said, "Thank you for making our dream grow so big." Graham woke up with the certainty that it hadn't been just a dream. It had been a visit, a confirmation that they were on the right path. 3 years after the discovery of the letters, the project had expanded to 15 communities. More than 3,000 children were regularly attending the different community centers created based on the Joyful Corner model. The Partner Foundation documented the project's impacts, a significant reduction in behavioral problems among participating children, strengthened family bonds, increased community cohesion, and the development of practical skills among youth. But for Graham and his family, the numbers were secondary. What truly mattered were the individual stories. The shy child who had become a leader, the single mother who had found support, the retired elderly person who had discovered a new purpose, the estranged family that had reconciled. "Every story is a small miracle," Graham would say during the lectures he was invited to give on community mobilization. Caleb, now 12, had become a sought-after junior speaker. He shared the children's perspective on the project and taught basic carpentry techniques to youth from other communities. Maya, 10 years old, had developed her own project, gardening kits that were distributed to families to start home gardens. She had named the project Little Seeds of Joy. Leo, at 9, continued to be the emotional heart of the initiative. His natural ability to include and cheer up other children made him a reference in social integration techniques. "You 3 have become exactly what your mother dreamed of," Graham said during a family dinner. "People who use their talents to do good." "Mom taught us that," Maya replied. "Even though she's not here, she's still our teacher." "And she always will be," Caleb added. "Every time we help someone, we're using a lesson we learned from her." Leo, with his characteristic practicality, declared, "Mom is the best teacher in the world, because her lessons make everyone happy." Silas and Mrs. Martha exchanged emotional glances. Seeing their 3 grandchildren growing up with such solid values, they knew Caroline had achieved her greatest goal, raising children who would spread love throughout the world. During this period, Graham also underwent significant personal transformations. He had learned to delegate responsibilities, to listen to other opinions, to build collectively, traits that Caroline had always lovingly tried to teach him. One afternoon, while watching the children playing at Joyful Corner, he had an epiphany. Caroline hadn't just left a project to be completed. She had also left a personal growth plan for him. Each letter found had revealed not only secrets about her, but also mirrors about himself. Every challenge faced in realizing the project had been an opportunity for growth. Every restored relationship had been a lesson in humility and forgiveness. "She knew exactly what I needed to become a better person," he murmured to himself. "What are you talking about, Dad?" asked Caleb, who had approached. "I was thinking about how wise your mother was. She didn't just leave us a project to do together, but she also helped us become better people in the process." Caleb reflected for a moment. "It's true. I learned to teach other people. Maya learned to care for plants and care about nature. Leo learned to make everyone feel included. And I learned to listen, to share, to build together with other people," Graham completed. "And Uncle Silas learned that he can trust people again," Caleb added. "And Grandma Martha learned that it's never too late to start over." Graham was impressed by his son's observational skills. "You're right. We've all become better people because of this project." "Mom was really smart," Caleb concluded. "She knew helping others would help us too." 4 years after discovering the hiding place, Graham received an unexpected invitation. A university wanted to create a course on community mobilization and social development based on the model they had developed. You created a replicable methodology that combines family strengthening, informal education, and community cohesion, explained the academic coordinator. We want to train professionals capable of implementing similar projects in other regions. Graham was honored, but unsure. I don't have an academic background in social development. Everything we did came from the heart and from necessity. And that's exactly why it's so effective. You started from people's real needs, not abstract theories. After much thought and discussion with the family, Graham agreed to be a guest lecturer for the course, sharing the practical experience while academics provided the theoretical foundation. Graham's classes became the most popular in the course. He told the real story of the project, showed videos of the activities, and, most importantly, took the students to visit the community centers in operation. Caleb, Maya, and Leo occasionally participated in the classes, sharing their perspectives as children who had grown up at the heart of the project. It's really cool to see adults learning about things we already know, Maya commented after one such participation. What things do you already know? Asked Graham, curious. That playing together makes everyone friends, replied Leo. That teaching something to someone makes you feel important, added Caleb. And that taking care of plants and animals teaches you to take care of people too, Maya finished. Graham realized that his children had learned, through practical experience, concepts that adults took years of theoretical study to understand. During his first year as a university lecturer, Graham supervised 12 capstone projects. Each student developed a proposal for a community center adapted to a specific reality: riverbank communities, urban peripheral neighborhoods, rural settlements, indigenous communities. Seeing young adults excited about the possibility of replicating and adapting Caroline's dream for different contexts made Graham understand that the project's impact was even greater than he had imagined. Your wife planted a seed that is becoming a forest, commented one of the students during a presentation. And the best part is that each tree in that forest will produce its own seeds, replied Graham, using the botanical metaphor that Maya liked so much. 5 years after discovering the letters, the model had spread to 43 communities in 7 U.S. states. Over 8,000 children regularly participated in the activities, and hundreds of families had strengthened their bonds through the projects. But the growth also brought new challenges. Some centers faced financial difficulties, others struggled with a lack of volunteers, some needed equipment renewal. Graham realized it was necessary to create a more formal structure to support the entire network. Together with the Partner Foundation, they created the Caroline Harrison Institute, a non-profit organization dedicated exclusively to supporting and expanding the model. The institute offered training for coordinators, technical support for new projects, guidance on fundraising, and, most importantly, a system of exchange between the different communities. Now families from all the communities can visit and learn from each other, Graham explained to his children during the institute's official launch. It's like we're all distant relatives who meet from time to time, observed Maya, always poetic in her comparisons. And they help each other when someone needs it, added Caleb, already understanding concepts of solidarity and cooperation. Leo made his characteristic contribution. It's like Mum planted a giant family spread all over the United States. During the Institute's launch ceremony, several families helped by the project sent video testimonials. Graham, Silas, Mrs. Martha, and the children watched, moved, as dozens of stories about family and community transformations played. A mother from Savannah told how the local community center had helped her autistic son socialize. A grandfather from Miami explained how he had found new purpose teaching carpentry to young people. A teenager from Denver reported how participating in the activities had helped her choose her future profession. Each story is a gift that Caroline continues to give us, whispered Mrs. Martha, wiping away tears of emotion. And every person transformed will transform other people, added Silas. It's an endless cycle of love. At the end of the ceremony, the 3 children were invited on stage to speak on behalf of all the children helped by the projects. Caleb, now 13 and more mature, took the floor. 5 years ago, my brother Leo stumbled and discovered our mother's secret letters. We didn't know that stumble would change so many people's lives. Maya, 11, continued, "Our mother dreamed that children would have safe places to play and families that helped each other. Today that dream is a reality in many places." Leo, 10, finished with simplicity and depth. "And the coolest thing is that we learned that when someone plants love, it keeps growing forever, even after they're gone." The audience rose in a moved, standing ovation. Caroline's 3 children had summarized in a few words the entire essence of the project and its transformative impact. That night, Graham went once more to the spot of the old hiding place. It was his personal ritual during important moments of the family journey. "Caroline," he said to the stars, "today we officially launch the institute that bears your name. 43 communities, 8,000 children, hundreds of families strengthened. Your dream became a reality far beyond what any of us could imagine. Our children are growing up knowing they can make a difference in the world. Silas found a new family. Your mother became the grandma to thousands of children. And I," he paused, emotional, "I became the man you always believed I could be." A gentle breeze rustled the tree leaves, and Graham smiled. It was her saying she was proud, that the plan had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. "Thank you for never giving up on us," he finally said. "Thank you for planting seeds of love that keep growing. Thank you for teaching us that family is who chooses to stay together and build good things together." 6 years after the discovery of the letters, Graham received news that made him simultaneously proud and nostalgic. Caleb, now 14, had been invited to give a talk at Capitol Hill on child leadership in social transformation. The invitation came after a documentary about the Caroline Harrison Institute won a national award. The film showed how the project had impacted different communities and especially highlighted the role of children as agents of change. "Dad, I'm nervous," confessed Caleb on the eve of the trip to Washington, D.C. "There will be representatives, senators, very important people. Son, you have a real story to tell. That is more powerful than any title or position," reassured Graham. Maya and Leo were excited about their brother's trip. "Tell them about our garden," asked Maya. "And about teaching carpentry to other kids," added Leo. Caleb's talk was a success. He told his family's story in a simple yet impactful way, explained how children could actively participate in solving community problems, and most importantly, showed that child leadership did not mean holding children responsible for adult problems, but rather including them as partners in building solutions. "Children know things that adults sometimes forget," Caleb told the audience of lawmakers. "We know that playing together creates friendships, that teaching something makes you feel important, that caring for plants teaches you to care for people." The most striking line of his presentation was, "My mother is no longer here physically, but she continues to educate thousands of children through the love she planted. That taught me that our actions can last much longer than our lives." The talk resonated nationally. Caleb was interviewed on television and radio programs, always accompanied by Graham and focusing on the core message: children are capable of contributing significantly to community well-being when given proper opportunities. The media impact brought new partners to the Caroline Harrison Institute. Companies offered to sponsor expansions. Other organizations proposed collaborations. Universities expressed interest in researching the model. But perhaps the most exciting result was the emergence of spontaneous initiatives. Families who began creating their own joyful corners in their neighborhoods, without institutional support, simply inspired by the story that had become public. "That's the most beautiful part," Graham commented to Silas. "They don't need us anymore to make it happen. The idea has taken on a life of its own." "Caroline managed to create a social movement based on family love," replied Silas. "It's the most beautiful legacy anyone can leave." Maya made an observation that surprised the adults. "It's like when you plant a seed, and then it becomes a tree that produces many other seeds. You don't need to plant each new seed, because the tree does it by itself." The 12-year-old's metaphor perfectly captured what was happening. The movement had gained autonomy and the capacity for self-replication. Over the next 2 years, growth was exponential. Hundreds of small initiatives sprang up across the country, some formally linked to the Institute, others completely independent, but all inspired by the same basic principles. Graham decided it was time to take a step back from the Institute's operational management to focus more on family and the local community. Caleb was in his teens and needed more paternal attention. Maya was developing her own projects that deserved support. Leo was excelling as a mediator of conflicts between children. "You three are my priority," he said during a family conversation. "The Institute can function without me, but you need your father present." "Dad, you don't have to choose between us and the Institute," said Caleb, showing maturity. "We can help more with the Institute and you can spend more time with us. It's like a family partnership." Caleb's suggestion was adopted. Graham reduced his travel and speaking load, but increased the children's participation in the activities of the original Joyful Corner. Maya developed a therapeutic gardening project that especially served children with emotional difficulties. Leo created a peer mediation system that helped children resolve conflicts through dialogue. Caleb expanded the carpentry workshops to include socially vulnerable youth. Mrs. Martha, now 77, remained active as the official storytelling grandma, but also began training other seniors to take on similar roles in their communities. Silas had become a national reference in social carpentry, the use of woodworking activities as a tool for personal development and community integration. 8 years after the discovery of the letters, the family received news that left them deeply moved. The Caroline Harrison Institute had been nominated for an International Social Innovation Award. "You mean Mum's dream could be recognized worldwide?" asked Maya, now 13. "It seems so, Princess," replied Graham, still processing the news. Caleb, at 15, offered a mature reflection. "It's interesting to think that Mom wrote secret letters to Uncle Silas, and now those letters inspired a project that could be an example for other countries." Leo, at 12, summed it up with his characteristic wisdom. "Mom must be so happy in heaven, seeing that her love has reached so far." The award ceremony would be in Geneva, Switzerland. The entire family was invited, including Mrs. Martha, who at 77 would take her first international trip. "I never imagined that at 77 I'd get to see Europe," she said, excited for the adventure. "Caroline is providing incredible experiences for the whole family, even though she's no longer physically here," observed Silas. The trip was a transformative experience for everyone. Seeing their project recognized internationally, learning about similar initiatives from other countries, and especially presenting the American model to a global audience was thrilling. During the international presentation, Graham told the full story: the grieving father, the children discovering secret letters, the family reuniting, the dream becoming reality, and spreading through entire communities. "This story shows that love transcends death and continues to transform lives across generations and communities," he said in English, with simultaneous translation into several languages. Caleb, Maya, and Leo participated in a special session on youth leadership in social projects, where they shared their experiences with children from different countries. The project won first place in the Community Development Innovation category. During the acceptance speech, Graham kept the focus on the central message: this award is not ours. It belongs to Caroline Harrison, an American mother who believed that small gestures of love could change the world. She was right, and it belongs to all the families who have chosen to build spaces of love and welcome in their communities together. It also belongs to all the volunteers, coordinators, children, and seniors who embrace the idea that caring for one another is everyone's responsibility. This award recognizes not just a project, but a movement of love that keeps growing. The international attention brought invitations to replicate the model in other countries. Organizations from Argentina, Colombia, Portugal, and some African countries expressed interest in adapting the methodology to their local realities. Graham set as a condition that any international expansion must maintain the fundamental principles: family leadership, community integration, inclusion of different generations, and above all, that love always be the main ingredient. In the months following the award, the family received letters from children in various countries, sending drawings and telling how they were creating their own joyful corners in their communities. One particularly touching letter came from an 8-year-old Argentine boy. Dear Caleb, Maya and Leo, my teacher told us the story of your mother. We created a playground just like yours here in our neighborhood. My grandmother teaches knitting to the kids, and my grandfather teaches soccer. Thank you for showing us that children can help make the world a better place. Mom has become an international inspiration, noted Maya, reading the letter. And we helped make it happen, added Caleb proudly. Now there are children all over the world playing because of Mom, exclaimed Leo excitedly. Graham looked at his 3 children and felt immense pride. They had grown up knowing their actions could positively impact the lives of other people, near or far. 9 years after the discovery of the letters, Graham was approached by a publisher, interested in turning the family story into a book. It's a story of overcoming hardship, family love, and social transformation, explained the publisher. It could inspire thousands of other families around the world. Graham was conflicted. On one hand, a book could spread Caroline's message even further. On the other, he didn't want the story to become just a commercial product. If we do the book, all the proceeds must go to the Caroline Harrison Institute, he stated as a condition, and the story must be told respectfully, focusing on the message of love and family unity. The publisher agreed to the conditions. Graham decided to write the book together with his children, each contributing their perspective on the events. Writing the book was a therapeutic process for the whole family, recalling each stage of the journey, from the discovery of the letters to the international recognition, helped them fully process the transformation they had lived through. Caleb wrote about how he had learned to be responsible and to teach others. Maya contributed reflections on personal growth through caring for plants and people. Leo shared his perspective on inclusion and friendship. Silas wrote a chapter on forgiveness and second chances. Mrs. Martha contributed memories about Caroline and reflections on the role of grandparents in family life. Graham wrote about grief, eternal love, and how people can continue transforming lives even after their physical departure. The book, Letters of Eternal Love, How a Family Secret Transformed Thousands of Lives, was launched in a ceremony at the original Joyful Corner, surrounded by the first families who had embraced the project. This book tells our story, but it is also the story of every family that chose to build love collectively, said Graham during the launch. And we hope it inspires other families to discover their own hidden treasures, added Caleb. Maya read a passage she had written about her mother. Mom planted seeds of love in secret places, waiting for the right time for them to grow. When we found her letters, we didn't just find words, we found instructions on how to make love multiply. The book became a national success and was translated into several languages. More important than the commercial success was the impact. Dozens of families made contact reporting how reading it had inspired them to reconcile, to create community projects, or simply to express more love for one another. A family from New York City wrote, "After reading the book, we decided to look for an aunt who had been estranged from the family for years. The reconciliation was emotional, and now our children have more family to love." A couple from Miami reported, "Inspired by the story, we created a community space in our condo complex. Neighbors who barely greeted each other are now close friends." A grandmother from Chicago shared, "I started telling stories to children at the local library. It's amazing how they give me energy and how I can contribute to their development." Every person who writes to us is a new seed of love being planted, observed Graham. Caroline managed to create a chain reaction that seems to have no end. 10 years after the discovery of the hiding place, Graham organized a special celebration, the National Gathering of Heart Families, bringing together representatives from all the communities that had created centers inspired by the original model. The event lasted 3 days and brought together over 500 families from across the United States. Children, youth, adults, and seniors shared experiences, learned from one another, and above all celebrated the transformative power of collective love. Caleb, now 16, had become a nationally recognized young leader. He coordinated workshops on youth leadership and spoke about his plans to study social education at university. Maya, at 14, led activities on sustainability and environmental care. Her therapeutic gardening project had expanded to 20 communities. Leo, at 13, organized cooperative games that brought together children of all ages and regions. His natural talent for social integration had developed into techniques other coordinators wanted to learn. During the event, it was announced that the Caroline Harrison Institute had reached the milestone of 100 communities served directly, benefiting over 20,000 children and their families. But the most moving announcement came from Mrs. Martha. At 79 years old, she had decided to write a memoir about Caroline, sharing stories from her daughter's childhood and youth that had never been shared publicly before. "I want future generations to know the girl who became the woman who inspired all this," she explained. "Caroline had a unique personality since she was a child, and these stories can inspire even more people." Mrs. Martha's book, My Daughter, My Heroine, Memories of Caroline Harrison, was released the following year and brought an even more human dimension to the story. Its pages revealed a young Caroline who cared for injured animals, a teenager who organized parties for underprivileged children, a young woman who dreamed of changing the world through informal education. "Mum was always special," said Maya after reading her grandmother's book. "Since she was little, she was already thinking about helping other people." "And now we can follow her example," added Caleb. "She showed us the way and we can keep walking." Leo made his characteristic observation. "It's like Mom left a treasure map, but the treasure was learning to love everyone." 11 years after the discovery of the letters, Graham received news that deeply moved him. An American university wanted to create a chair in his honor, focused on community development based on family bonds. "It's not in my honor," he corrected. "If it's to be done, let it be in honor of Caroline Harrison and the values she represented." The Caroline Harrison Chair in Community Development was established at Stirling University, with Graham as its first visiting professor. The program would offer scholarships to students from different countries to research social transformation methodologies based on family strengthening. The news had international repercussions. Caroline, an American mother who had dreamed of helping children in her community, now lent her name to an academic program at one of the world's most prestigious universities. "Mom became a global reference in education," exclaimed Caleb, impressed. "And she didn't even have a college degree," observed Maya. "But she had something more important, a huge heart." Graham spent 6 months at Stirling University, developing the chair's curriculum and mentoring the first students. The experience was enriching, but it also confirmed something he already knew. Academia could theorize about love and community, but the people who truly understood the subject were the families living these values every day. The students were fascinated when Graham told real stories from Joyful Corner, when he showed videos of children teaching each other, when he shared letters from families transformed by the project. "Professor, how did you manage to create such an effective model without formal training in social development?" asked a doctoral student. "We started with genuine love and real need," replied Graham. "The methodology was born from practice, not from theories. When you truly care about people, you find ways to help them." During his time at Stirling University, Graham also had the opportunity to learn about social projects from different countries and realized that, regardless of culture or economic condition, basic human needs were similar: belonging, purpose, recognition, and love. Caroline was right when she said the human heart is the same everywhere, he wrote in his diary during his time in the United States. "The forms of expression may vary, but the desire to love and be loved is universal." When he returned to the United States, Graham brought invitations for international exchanges. Young Americans could study methodologies from other countries, while foreign students would come to learn about the American model. Caleb was one of the first selected for a 3-month exchange in Argentina, where he helped implement community centers in Buenos Aires and Córdoba. It was incredible to see how each country adapts the basic ideas to its culture, he reported upon his return. But the essential part is always the same: families coming together to care for their communities. Maya developed an environmental exchange project with Portuguese youth, creating community gardens in schools in both countries. Leo, even though he was the youngest, participated in an experience-sharing program with Colombian children, teaching conflict mediation techniques through cooperative games. Mrs. Martha, at 80 years old, became a sought-after international speaker, talking about the role of the elderly in the informal education of children. Silas expanded his social carpentry workshops to include refugees and immigrants, helping them integrate into American communities through collaborative manual work. 12 years after the discovery of the hideout, Graham reflected deeply on the journey they had traveled. From a family fragmented by loss, they had transformed into a network of people connected by love and common purpose. From a local project, they had created an international movement of community transformation. From 3 grieving children, 3 young people had grown, aware of their capacity to positively impact the world. Caroline achieved something few managed to, he thought aloud during a walk with Silas on the rural property. She transcended her own existence and became a perpetual transformative force. "And the most beautiful part," replied Silas, "is that she did it through family love. She didn't need extraordinary resources or special powers. She only needed to love deeply and plant seeds of love in the right places." During this conversation, they decided to create one final project in honor of Caroline, a memorial garden on the rural property where it all began. The garden would be a space for contemplation and renewal, where families could come to reflect on their own bonds and shared dreams. There would be plants representing each community served by the Institute, benches made from wood crafted by Silas, and a water fountain symbolizing the continuity of life. At the center of the garden, a simple but meaningful sculpture, a mother reading letters to 3 children with the inscription, "True love knows no limits of time or space." The inauguration of the Caroline Harrison Memorial Garden brought together hundreds of people from all the communities served by the project. Children planted seedlings, teenagers built wooden structures, adults organized the ceremony, and the elderly told stories about the importance of collective memory. Caleb, now 17 and about to enter university to study social education, gave the main speech. "This garden represents the continual growth of the love our mother planted. Each plant here symbolizes a family strengthened, a child who discovered their talents, an elderly person who found new purpose, a community that came together. Mom is no longer here physically, but her presence is real in every child's smile playing at the community centers, in every family that reconciles, in every person who decides to plant love instead of indifference. This garden will be a place where future generations can come to remember that an ordinary person, moved by extraordinary love, can truly change the world." Maya, at 15, added, "The plants in this garden will grow, flower, and bear fruit, just as Mom's love continues to grow and bear fruit in the lives of thousands of people." Leo, at 14, finished with his characteristic wisdom. "And when other children ask who Caroline Harrison was, we'll be able to show them this garden and say, she was someone who believed love can do anything." After the ceremony, Graham walked alone to the tree trunk, where it had all begun 12 years earlier. The spot was now integrated into the garden but kept its original appearance. He sat in the same place where he had first descended into the secret passage and found the letters that changed everything. "Caroline," he said to the stars as it had become his ritual, "today we inaugurated a garden in your honor, but the true garden you planted is in the hearts of the people touched by your love. Our children have become upright young people, determined to keep planting love in the world. Your family reunited and grew stronger. Thousands of children are growing up in more welcoming communities. Your name has become synonymous with social transformation based on family love. You achieved true immortality, living forever through the positive impact you caused in other people's lives." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the trees in the garden, and Graham smiled. It was her, as always, confirming she was proud that the plan had succeeded beyond any dream. 13 years after discovering the letters, Graham received a surprise that left him deeply moved. It was a collective letter, signed by over 1,000 people whose lives had been impacted by the Caroline Harrison Institute. Children who had grown up in the community centers, parents who had strengthened family bonds, elderly people who had found new purpose, young people who had discovered their vocations. The letter said, "Mr. Graham and family, we, the direct and indirect beneficiaries of Caroline Harrison's dream, would like to express our eternal gratitude. More than creating physical spaces for community, you taught us that family is who chooses to love and build together. Many of us never even got to meet Caroline personally, but we feel her presence through the love you have spread in her name. She became a symbolic mother to thousands of children, a grandmother to hundreds of families, an inspiration to countless communities. We want you to know that we will continue planting seeds of love in our own communities. Caroline's legacy will not die with us, for we are already teaching our children to value family, community, and solidarity. Thank you for showing us that an ordinary person, moved by extraordinary love, can truly transform the world. Thank you for keeping alive the memory of a woman who never stopped believing in the best in people. With eternal love, the families from the heart of Caroline Harrison. Graham read the letter aloud during the family dinner. When he finished, everyone was emotional. 1,000 people, Dad, whispered Caleb. 1,000 people touched by Mom's love through us. And these 1,000 people will touch another 1,000, added Maya. It's like ripples in a pond when you toss a small stone. Leo, now 14, but retaining his innocent wisdom, made the most touching observation. Mom became truly immortal. She'll live forever in the hearts of all these people and their children, and their children's children. Silas and Mrs. Martha, now 81 but still active, were visibly moved. My daughter managed to create a giant family, said the elderly woman. Not only did she bring our family together, but she created a worldwide family of people who believe in the power of love. And the most beautiful part, added Silas, is that she did it by being exactly who she was, a loving mother who genuinely cared about other people. That night, Graham had another of his dreams about Caroline. This time she was in a vast garden, surrounded by thousands of children of all ages, all smiling and playing. When she saw him, she waved happily and said, "Thank you for making our garden grow so much. Now it's too big for us to count all the flowers." Graham awoke with a feeling of profound completeness. Caroline had achieved exactly what she wanted, to create a legacy of love that would grow indefinitely. 14 years after the discovery of the hiding place, Graham made an important decision. It was time to officially pass the leadership of the Caroline Harrison Institute to the next generation. Caleb, now 18 and a graduate in social education, would assume national coordination. Maya, at 16, would lead the environmental and sustainability projects. Leo, at 15, would be responsible for community integration and mediation programs. "You grew up within this project," said Graham during the transition ceremony. "You know every detail, every value, every goal. More importantly, you bring new energy and fresh ideas." "Dad, you're not retiring," said Caleb. "You're promoting yourself to senior advisor and mentor. And you'll always be the keeper of the original story," added Maya. "No one tells Mum's story better than you." Leo, ever practical, made his contribution. "And you'll have more time to fish with Uncle Silas and talk with Grandma Martha about the old days." The transition was smooth and natural. The three young people had grown up knowing exactly what their mission in life was: to continue spreading the love their mother had planted. During the following 5 years, under the leadership of Caroline's children, the Institute expanded to 15 countries. Over 100,000 children were directly benefited by the programs, and hundreds of thousands indirectly through the strengthening of their families and communities. Caleb became an international reference in participatory social education. Maya developed pioneering community sustainability programs. Leo created innovative methodologies for peaceful conflict resolution. But perhaps the most significant development was the creation of the Caroline Harrison Global Network, connecting similar projects across all continents. A child who grew up in a community center in the United States could correspond with another participating in similar activities in South Africa. Families from Argentina exchanged experiences with families from India. Elderly Portuguese people shared stories with elderly Australians. "Mom created a global family," observed Maya during an international video conference that brought together coordinators from 30 countries. "And the most amazing thing," added Caleb, "is that everyone speaks the same language, the language of love and mutual care." Leo, now 20, offered a profound reflection. "Mom proved that there are no borders for love. A mother from the United States inspired projects all over the world because the desire to protect and educate children is universal. 20 years after the discovery of the letters, Graham, now 58, organized a special celebration, the worldwide Gathering of Heart Families. The event lasted a week and brought together representatives from all countries where projects inspired by the original model existed. Over 2,000 people from 6 continents gathered in the United States to share experiences and celebrate Caroline's legacy. During the week, academic studies on the impact of the programs were presented, documentaries produced in different countries, books written by beneficiaries of the projects, and most importantly, thousands of personal testimonies about family and community transformations. The most emotional moment was when an 8-year-old girl, the daughter of a family helped in the first community served by the project, read a letter she had written for Caroline. "Dear Aunt Caroline, who is in heaven, my name is Sophie and I have played at Joyful Corner since I was very little. My mom told me it was you who dreamed of this place where children can be happy. I wanted to tell you that I learned many important things here. I learned that all children can be friends, that grandpas and grandmas know beautiful stories, that planting seeds is like planting kindness. I also learned that even when a person goes to heaven, their love stays here and keeps making good things happen. My mom said you had 3 children just like I have 2 brothers. I wish they knew that you are the mother of all the children who play in the places she dreamed of. Thank you for dreaming of me without knowing me. With affection, Sophie, who wants to be a teacher like you when I grow up." There wasn't a dry eye in the audience when Sophie finished reading. Caleb, Maya, and Leo were visibly moved seeing how their mother had become a maternal figure for an entire generation of children. "This girl represents thousands of other children," said Caleb in his closing speech, "all of them growing up knowing they are loved, valued, and capable of transforming their communities." Maya added, "And all of them learning that family isn't just those you are born to, but those you choose to build love with." Leo concluded, "Our mother managed to become a universal mother, not just of us 3, but of a whole generation that grew up in her realized dreams." During the closing ceremony, the creation of an international virtual university was announced, the Caroline Harrison University for Community Development, offering free courses on family strengthening, social education, and community transformation. The university would be coordinated by Caroline's 3 children, with teachers from all countries where active projects existed. Anyone, anywhere in the world, could access knowledge on how to create more welcoming communities and closer families. "Mom always believed education should be accessible to everyone," explained Caleb. "This university makes that dream a reality too." 25 years after the discovery of the secret hiding place, Graham, now a grandfather to 5 grandchildren, Caleb married and had 2 children, Maya had a daughter, Leo had 2, was sitting in the memorial garden watching the family's 4th generation play where it all began. The grandchildren, even though small, were already participating in the activities of the original Joyful Corner, learning early on about family love, community responsibility, and solidarity. Caleb had become a respected international educator, Maya was a world reference in community sustainability, and Leo led peace programs in conflict regions around the world. Silas, at 68, remained active teaching carpentry and had become the patriarch of an extended family that included hundreds of heart grandchildren from the communities he served. Mrs. Martha had passed away at 85, but left behind written memories that became a reference on intergenerational education. Her last words had been, "Tell Caroline that the family grew even larger than she dreamed." On that special afternoon in the garden, Graham reflected on the extraordinary journey they had traveled. From 3 motherless children and a grieving father, they had transformed into a family that positively impacted millions of lives around the world. "Caroline," he said to the sky as he had done thousands of times over the years, "today our grandchildren play in the place where it all began. They grow up knowing they are part of something greater, that their actions can make a difference, that love is the most powerful force in the universe. You managed to create an eternal legacy. Your love transcended time, space, cultures, and borders. You became a universal symbol of motherhood, care, and social transformation. Our children became upstanding adults, who dedicate their lives to spreading love. Our grandchildren are growing up in a more welcoming world because of the dreams you planted. Thank you for never giving up on us. Thank you for planting seeds of love in secret places, waiting for the right moment for them to bloom. Thank you for proving that an ordinary person, driven by extraordinary love, can truly change the world. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the trees in the garden, carrying the scent of flowers planted by children from dozens of countries. Graham smiled, knowing it was her confirming once again that she was proud of the immense garden they had cultivated together. End of story. And now, dear listener, we want to know your opinion on this moving story. Do you believe true love can transcend death and continue transforming lives? Leave your comment sharing what touched you most in this journey of Caroline's family. If this story has reached you, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heart-touching stories. Your participation is very important to us.